be also sharing the link with you after the event is completed. We welcome all your questions and your comments in the chat box. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. Education is what determines the nation, and providing universal access to quality education is the key to India's continued ascent. For all those parents who are watching us now, are you a parent who has heard about the new education policy but does not understand how does it impact your child? Or have you understood the policy but want more clarity on it? So, if any of these questions have crossed your mind, be connected with us for the next 1 hour as we try to give clarity to all your questions from our expert panel. I, Zeba Parkar, your moderator for the day. I have worked in the Oxford International School, Dubai, as a CIE instructor for grades 10 and 11. Assessments and its analysis is my core strength, and I have worked as an assistant exam officer in Dubai. Carrying my international experience, I joined Sarvankish Vidya Mandir in 2018 and is currently working as an academic coordinator as well as facilitates computer science for higher grades. Today we have here with us our esteemed panelists, starting with Ms. Farzana Dahadwala. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ms. Farzana.
And thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ms. Farzana is a passionate national and international educator. She is a double postgraduate in arts and education and a bachelor's of law. She was the IB representative for South Asia for 17 years and was instrumental in making international education popular in South Asia. She has won many awards like Lifetime Achievement Award from South Asia IB Schools Association, Edupreneur Award from Lions Club, and many more. Interesting, ma'am. Ms. Farzana is a career coach and a parenting coach. She has helped hundreds of teachers in IB and ICSE pedagogy. She is with us today to talk about different pathways for your child, keeping the new NEP in mind. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Farzana. I'm glad to have you on board.
Our pleasure.
Next comes an award-winning educator, avid blogger, a parenting expert. Our mentor and support system is none other than Ms. Fatima Agarkar. We welcome you, ma'am. She is a veteran of 3 educational startups, including the current one born during the COVID-19 incubation, ACE, that combines sports and education. She is shortly authoring a book on parenting, and apart from that, is a consultant to many schools and also works on the advisory board of several organizations. She's passionate about skilling teachers, designing content that is relevant for students, and working with changing mindset. She's got a 14-year-old whom she adores and a husband who is a celebrated cricketer. Recently, Ms. Fatima was also recognized as one of the top 50 Indian leaders who can review education by the Education World. Wonderful, ma'am. You're just unstoppable. Welcome and thank you to be with us today.
Humbled, and thank you so much for the warm introduction.
Proceeding ahead, we have our ever-inspiring principal of Sarvankish Vidya Mandir, Ms. Monica Jaiswal. A passionate leader with a career span of more than 20 years. Ms. Monica supports child-centric education and develops interesting techniques and classroom methods. She constantly motivates her team members and students. Her core belief is every child can learn if taught in a correct way. Her forte lies in early education and theme-based experiential learning. She has conducted various training workshops catering to understanding curriculum, accurate assessments, and learning evaluations, students and parenting counseling, and many more. Thank you, Ms. Monica, to be here with us.
Thank you, Zeba, but I feel very small in front of Farzana ma'am, Fatima ma'am, and I'm blessed to be today on this platform with them. Definitely looking forward to learn a lot, ma'am, from you.
Okay, how can we go ahead without our parents? our teachers, and students, as they are our stakeholders. Therefore, we have our parent representative, Mrs. Shivani Panwalkar. Mrs. Shivani is a general practitioner since last 23 years, a gold medalist in Sanskrit, and Agnishika Award winner by Lions Club International for social work, especially for needy women. She is also currently working as a treasurer of Lions Club Ratnagiri. Amazing, ma'am. I must say your passion and dedication is visible in various fields. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Zeva, for nice introduction.
We also have Ms. Neema Sawant, Math and Science Facilitator at Sarvankash Vidya Mandir. She has been shaping the generations for last 9 years, be it academics or cultural programs. We have Ms. Neema always for us. Her passion for perfection is her key to success. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Neema.
Thank you,
Last-
Ms. Zeba. Thank you so much.
And last, we have Ms. Maitreyi Bhurke, the head girl of Sarvankash Vidya Mandir. Maitreyi is a student of grade 8. Her excellence in academics and co-curricular activities goes hand in hand. Her confidence and multitasking abilities makes her an effective leader. Thank you, dear, to be with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go on to our topic about the new education policy. The new education policy that was announced recently after 34 years, it replaces the previous national policy on education of 1986. This policy aims to transform India's education system by 2030 and making India a global knowledge superpower, which personally makes me very proud as an Indian. For any policy across the world, there are two pillars of success. The very first is to understand the policy and interpret it, and the second is the implementation side of it. So we are going to spend the next 40 to 50 minutes in trying to understand what this new education policy actually means and how does it impact the parents, the students, and the teachers. All right, so let's listen to what our experts have for us. I would like to begin with our senior experienced panelist, Ms. Farzana. Ms. Farzana, the question for you is, as you have crossed many levels of life, from being a school student to a college student, from a parent and now a proud grandparent. So what message do you have for parents to relieve their anxiety when it comes to a generation gap, which exists not only in the thinking process, but also the kind of education the parents have received and the kind of the education the children are receiving at this age? So as the pressure always flows from adult to a child. So does this new education policy somewhere explains the merits and the demerits of traditional versus the progressive or the futuristic education? Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ziba. And it was a very thoughtful and a very thought-provoking question. And I feel I have to roll back so many years to be able to tell my story to say. So let's ask ourselves, what is education? As Malcolm, and I love his quote, has always said, you know, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs only to those who prepare for it today. So friends, learning is a lifelong journey. I'm learning today and I think I'm going to learn till I reach my grave. And at every stage, it has trained young minds in school as per the need of the hour. My generation, as you asked me, Zeba, learned differently from Fatima's generation.
Right.
And today's generation, Maitreyi, is learning very differently from Fatima's generation.
Agreed.
And one may ask how, why? Because during each period, you know, it has been different. For example, when I was studying, we didn't have internet. So we didn't have this reams of information and information overload, which Maitreyi today has, okay? Our teacher was our guru and we learned through books, okay? There was very little of other type of strategies used in our classrooms. But that was fine. Today I am and I'm standing before an audience and I can talk because the skills that were required for that period were imbibed in me. But now as time rolls, and that's why the NEP is so important for us, that the NEP, even if it's come after 34 years, is going to be a beacon of light for all of us. So for example, when Fatima learned, she learned through various more mediums than what I learned. For example, I'm sure her teachers in her school, Queen Mary's, taught her through the Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theories in mind. Internet was there, but limited. And teaching moved from my generation of only books to more resources. But today, the need of today and the need of our students today is so very different, because it is an overload of information. So content is not at all important. It should be more a concept-driven curriculum. And that's what the NEP is trying to give us and wanting us to do. Let's not be slaves of content. So I request all the parent body in Ratnagiri today. That's what the NEP is envisaging. I know by the time it rolls, it's going to be another 1-2 years. But I know of what I've heard of SVM, that you all are a very forward-looking organization. And concept-driven teaching and learning is happening. So I congratulate all those who have joined SVM, because that's the type of school which NEP is also envisaging. Okay, skill development is also very important, because what Maitri will need when she goes out into the career and the job market will be jobs which today you and I don't know about. Even when Fatima was studying, I'm sure at that time nobody was talking about a cyber professional. There was no cyber crime, no cyber fraud. But today it's, I think, happening and a very important profession. So today we don't know what Maitri will become. So I think 10 years from now, we have to catch hold of Maitri and find out what has she been doing. So what you guys are doing, and that is what NEP is doing, is providing them skills so they are ready for an unknown future for themselves. Okay. Now I would love to talk to the parents also, because they are our first customers, to say, and NEP indirectly affects them also, So my advice to parents is, let your child be different. Let him be an out-of-box thinker. Don't be after that rut. You never got 10 marks. Why did you get only 8? You should have got 10 on 10. Forget it. I was never a 10 on 10 student. But today I think I'm doing much better than those students in my school who are getting 10 on 10. Like Mahatma Gandhi has said a very beautiful thing, and that is so applicable today in COVID times, that there is no school equal to a decent home. Friends, listen, there is no school equal to a decent home and no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. Because today, and we know in COVID times, our parents are becoming our teachers and are helping us in all. So parents, you are your child's greatest teacher, COVID or no COVID. Okay. So you need to stimulate the curiosity and let him make mistakes. It's always perfection is what we are looking at. Don't. It's okay to make mistakes. Anyone who has never made a mistake, I feel, has never tried anything in life.
Right.
You're just trying to achieve, and maybe that's what leads to all these suicides and all the other things. So let's give them this, and that's what NEP is envisaging. Let your child have a positive growth mindset, and please don't compare your children. Don't compare them. Okay. And what would I say is that every child is unique. Every child has a different potential. So over to you, Zeba, and parents, I hope you guys give your child that innovative education, and NEP has laid down, I would say, the basic platform for all of us. And it's for us now as educators, parents, and management to take whatever we can do in our own small way, not waiting for the government to put it into an implementation mode. I'm sure in Ratnagiri, Marathi is being taught also, because it's a state language. So you guys are forerunners. Schools in Mumbai will be struggling now to introduce Marathi. You guys are forerunners. So sometimes I feel like how Abdul Kalam Azad also, why did I say Azad? Abdul Kalam. He came from a very small background, like a small school, but it was his teachers who became facilitators. So you guys, Nima, Monica, Zeba, all of you have a lot of burden on your shoulders. So over to you, Zeba.
Thank you, Ms. Farzana. Thank you for beautifully and effectively explaining how to bridge that generation gap in total agreement with each and every word you spoke. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, let us put some light on teacher training and recruitment. NEP 2020 is stressing a lot on teacher training and quality recruitment as they are in direct connect with the learners. There is a mention of the 4 years integrated D8 program, which is not so clear to many. Like they have doubts like the students after completing 12th standard will directly take admission for B8s. So I would request Ms. Fatima to decode this not so clear topic for our teachers. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Zeba. A very, very important part of the NEP. And quite frankly, if it's a personal opinion, I'd like to share it. I think this actually differentiates a good school from an extraordinary school, a school that will take our children into the future. It was a much neglected part of the education policies that we've had. Perhaps, we only focused on, we have to do 60 hours, so we will do it. So in-service training. I'm going to say the NEP is actually focused on the core. First, teacher education, then teacher recruitment, then in-service training. Very, very crucial. And if we have to compete with a global world, we will have to have our teachers skilled. I think Farzana ma'am beautifully pointed out, we seek perfection, but I don't know of a perfect parent. I don't know of a perfect teacher. I don't know of a perfect child, and thank God for that. Because if that was perfection, we would all be living in an iRobo land. There wouldn't be a differentiation. I don't know how we would push ourselves or augment any creativity or pain. So what the B.Ed has done is brought in flexibility, Zeba.
Right.
What the B.Ed is trying, what the NEP has tried to do is broaden its market.
Okay.
We were only attracting one type of profile coming into the teaching fraternity. With the inbuilt flexibility, 1-year program, 2-year program, 3 and 4, what it's saying is we don't want to close our doors to those who are graduates in another discipline.
Right.
We will give them an opportunity, but please recognize that they are also graduates or postgraduates. Right. So then a master's in another profession cannot be put through the same 4-year program.
Right.
So Zeba, I think that's the beauty of the NEP. That's why we love it, because it's progressive. Right. And I keep putting it back to that. It's not only the B.Ed, it's also the in-service training. But the confusion lies in the structure. Like the confusion lied in, now it's become nursery up to grade 2, then 3 years, then again 3 years, then again 4 years. Now this structure shattered everyone. What does this mean? This affects exams. So I think with the B.Ed flexibility, it has also focused on quality.
Right.
To say that someone who's only up to grade 12 then needs 4 more years, intensive training, internships to be able to teach and inspire students. But someone who's done the masters must be recognized and respected for their specialization as well. Transferable skills. I love it. It's broadened our horizon. We hopefully have a lot more lawyers, a lot more bankers, a lot more humanities students coming into the teaching profession and inspiring our children. And we keep going back to Maitri, but like Farzana ma'am said, that's the generation and the generation before and after that we need to focus on in the K-12.
Right.
Good things about the B.Ed, not misunderstandings.
Right. Wow, what a simplified explanation. Your words reflect your ace qualities and experience in the world of education, ma'am. I could see excitement on Ms. Nima's face as she has some questions ready for Ms. Fatima. Over to you, Ms. Nima.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Zeba. Ma'am, as you said, after 12, but as we are focusing on graduate and postgraduate, so will it be mandatory for them, or like means like normal graduation, can normal graduation like BA, BSc, BCom and B.Ed can be done parallel? Or what about the existing 2 and 1 year B.Ed program? Will it be completely discarded? What exactly? I mean,
Yeah. No, Nima, you're right. Because you know what happens is when it's a policy document of 65 pages, not every minute word can be written. So what they've done is put an outline. And remember, it's a concurrent subject. The center and the state has to work with a national education policy. So this is a broad guideline. Now the states will get involved and try and break it down. So to all the teachers out there listening, you have opportunities. You have a 4-year program. If you are a graduate at grade 12 and you've decided now you don't want to continue in the commerce stream, but you still want to move into teaching, but then you have to give it 4 years because you didn't graduate. What you got was only a diploma in that qualification. So it's giving an opportunity for that. But if you've done your master's, you have an opportunity to do 1 and 2 years program. So what's happening is, like I said, they've broadened it. They haven't narrowed it down, which is futuristic. That means opportunities for so many. You have to be patient, like Farzana ma'am said, for the implementation in terms of the protocols each state comes out with. I think the Maharashtra state is very progressive in that sense with education, are ensuring that we get every good talent to inspire our teachers. That's the word on the ground. So we're going to get every kind. And I think the CBSE board or the international boards will recognize and appreciate. Now we don't need to mandate. We don't have one size fits all for the teachers as well. So if we're doing it for the children, we're doing it for the teachers as well.
Wonderful, wonderful, ma'am. Thanks for clarification. Ms. Shivani, she wants to share and seek guidance on some of the topics. Ms. Shivani, please continue. You're on mute, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Zeba. We have been brought up in a society where math and science stream are kept on the top, and then followed by humanities, then liberal arts and sports. Now with these flexible subject combinations and doing away with the so-called streams, how do I as a parent stay assured that my child will get into the right kind of career which has ample of scope for success and growth? That's my question to.
Okay, I think Ms. Monica is the right person to answer this. Ms. Monica, would you please share your views?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I think Dr. Shivani, this document has beautifully brought our attention and proposed to break the decades-old stereotypes, and in a manner eliminating the existing harmful hierarchies. So if knowledge building happens through compartmentalization of subjects into different streams or areas of learning, then knowledge as such remains fragmented. It's high time now that we realize that what is required today is the multidisciplinary and holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports in order to ensure the unity and integrity of knowledge. And in any manner, I think the aim of education is not only the acquisition of knowledge, it is actually building your own wisdom, create your own meaning, think, and then act. So this policy basically intends to help our students to be able to choose their own paths in life according to their talents and interests. As a principal of SVM, it really motivates me that as a school, we have always been conscious towards the overall development of our learners. We have been promoting arts, music, sports, dance equally. I mean, for us, they're not extracurricular subjects, but they're co-curricular subjects. And to quite an extent, I'm able to relate to the policy and its ease of implementation also. Because when I see my 8th graders, developing their own mobile app in their language week, they're also watching English movies, they're writing their reviews. And a few days back, Zeba shared that they're making short movies in the IT projects. They're creating their own, websites also.
Thanks. Yeah.
So a few days back, I was in one of the webinars where I was talking about the 5 minds for the future. And it does talk about the transdisciplinary approach and the multidisciplinary approach, which will be the future, which will be needed for the future. And I think as far as we talk about success and growth, it always follows passion, hard work, dedication, which we see both in our learners and the teachers. And I think as Swayam's mom, you know what is the importance of sports in his life. So now I think it's actually the time that we need to redefine success and growth. What are our parameters for counting success and growth?
Brilliantly explained. Yeah, brilliantly explained, ma'am. This also reminds me of one of the science session which Miss Nima conducted in the last week on experiential learning. Miss Nima, if you could please elaborate in short for us.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ms. Eva. I would definitely like to share my experience. See, experiential learning definitely takes learning beyond the classroom and steps to build a more involved way of learning. A very important thing is learner's logical mind works best in his or her immediate surrounding. And of course, as being a science and a maths teacher, I find it much more easier to follow a kind of pedagogy. When we talk about a virtual world, believe me, it's nowhere a stumbling block in teaching learning process. In fact, I would say it actually helps a teacher for a smooth ongoing session, I may say. And of course, provides a useful framework for planning teaching sessions. Important thing is children are often excited to go with experiential learning as they are completely involved in it. And also parents are equally enthusiastic and satisfied with the kind of approach. I would like to share my experience in my mother tongue as NEP also emphasizes the importance of mother tongue. Okay. Like हातवर अनुभव आणि निरीक्षण तसेच चर्चा इतर शिकवणी and this comes together like हे समजून घेणे महत्त्वाचे आहे की अनुभवात्मक शिक्षण हाताने अध्यापन अनुभवात्मक शिक्षणाचा हेतू केवळ सरावाने कौशल्य नव्हे तर त्याबद्दल सखोल विचार करणे आणि सुधारणा करणे देखील आहे. माझ्या एका विज्ञान सत्राचा अनुभव मला शेअर करायला आवडेल जिथे कन्सेप्ट होता उष्णता आणि विजेचे वाहक. मुलांना जस्ट एक इन्सुलेटेड हँडलवाला भांड घ्यायला सांगितलं आणि ते 5 सेकंदासाठी तापवून घ्यायला सांगितलं. त्यांनी ते केलं. They were so excited to do that. They did it within a few seconds and came back with that vessel. And before I could explain ki how they are able to hold that, ते स्वतःच्या हाताने कसं काही भांड धरू शकतात हे मी त्यांना सांगण्याआधीच त्यांनीच मला सांगितलं. It was amazing. Means before I could clarify the concept, it was everything done over there. One more experience I would like to share, like it was an experience. दुसरा एक संकल्पना घेतली होती परिवर्तनीय आणि अपरिवर्तनीय बदल. यामध्ये मुलांना एक पेपर जाळण्यास सांगितला आणि तो पुन्हा निर्माण करण्यास सांगितला. तिथे त्यांना ते उदाहरण अपरिवर्तनीय बदलाचे क्लिअर झाले. ओके. तसेच एक त्यांना बर्फाचा तुकडा आणायला सांगितला, अ क्यूब आईस क्यूब, and it was melted in a room temperature. इथे जेव्हा त्यांना सांगितलं की मला तो बर्फाचा गोळा आता परत पाहिजे तर पेपर जसा परत मिळू शकत नाही बर्फाचा गोळाही मिळू शकत नाही का. But they will definitely knowing it that they will definitely get that ice cube back again. So here it indicates यामध्ये तो परिवर्तनीय बदल, रिव्हर्सिबल आणि इरिव्हर्सिबल या गोष्टीचं कन्सेप्ट त्यांची आणि अशा बऱ्याचशा कन्सेप्ट आहेत की ज्या आपण म्हणजे बघा या साध्या गोष्टी आहेत ज्या आपल्या दैनंदिन जीवनाशी संबंधित आहेत. थोडीशी जुळवाजुळव इकडे तिकडे and you are sorted. And the lesson was amazing, believe me.
Wonderful, wonderful, Ms. Nima. You have really set an example to all of us. Well, as the policy is student-centric, let us now hear from students' point of view. Over to you, Maitreyi.
Everybody is talking about NEP. I'm little curious to know what can I look forward to how the vocational training will impact me and my future.
Wonderful. Ms. Fatima, your views on this?
So I'm just going to very simply point it out, Maitri. The fact that you're on this webinar with educators, parents, and very senior professionals tells you the opportunities that vocational education can bring to you. You basically learn to work with experts. You learn to work with people who've lived their life, who've experienced, who have the expertise, and are now going to decode it for you and your generation before and after as well. The whole idea, Maitri, is as beautifully as Nema Miss has pointed out, it is breaking information down in the way that every child will learn. Some people learn with hands-on learning, some people listen, some people want to reflect on it and learn. So every child is taken care of. So the thing that you have to look forward with the NAP is the fact that, one, they're focusing on the middle years, which they never had. The middle and the high school years. I'm going to say, Maitri, I need your support from your parents and all the parents in Ratnagiri to actually understand that it's not going to be a mark-based curriculum. It's not going to be grade 3, 5, 8 exams that we're going to be worried about. It's about how you think, how you demonstrated it, what kind of questions you're asking, Maitri, and you're a big example of an opportunity that a lot of children should have. It's going to be us as adults, teachers and parents, supporting this need to ask questions, supporting the need to sometimes ask the question that may not be an easy question, finding answers. We're excited about the NAP, like Farzana ma'am said, Monica ma'am said, Nima ma'am has said, and Dr. Panwalkar has asked us, what is it going to do? It's going to make sure a lot of what you've learned, Maitri, now is going to be put into application. So it's no longer going to be, I'm going to tell you, this is the question, this is the model answer, now answer it. The idea is now, did you understand it? And will you be able to answer it? Isn't that easier? Yeah, I think I'd be happier, right? I won't have to struggle. I burned the midnight oil. Farzana ma'am, I did that. To get my 92 and 94, and I don't know what numbers I was chasing. And Nima ma'am, thank you so much for explaining that in Marathi beautifully, because I hated math and science. I'm a humanities student. Now, if someone had explained it as beautifully as you had, I think the generation forward. Farzana ma'am, please go ahead and add a point.
I just wanted to add a bit to this, that Maitri, when you will have these internships, which is the NEP suggestion, you will be able to put your hands into many pies to understand what is your passion. And a request to all parents, and Shivani ma'am is here, don't put your unfulfilled dreams into your child. I wanted to be a doctor, so now I didn't become one, so now my child has to become. The NEP for the first time in an Indian system is giving you this opportunity. So you will be able to choose.
Yeah. And for Farzana ma'am, what's important is that, we think that lawyers don't need to know finance. Doctors don't need to be very efficient in English. I don't think it's going to be that world of tomorrow. The world of tomorrow is going to have English, math, science, all put together, and we're going to have to specialize, because what if I want to give up on a career tomorrow? These children have the choice.
I would love to add to this. I am a lawyer by profession, and today I am one of the leading educators. So I change tracks. You may want to change, but if you've had your hands into many types of content, will you be able to decide? I could not, because I was one stream, one college, one subject. And at my time, whatever friends did, I said, I'm going to do the same thing. But when I became mature enough, I realized this is not my line. I'm not enjoying law. I'm not going to wear the black coat and run for clients. I want clients running behind me.
So Maitri, at this young age, you're getting an opportunity to partake in your future and decide whether that is going to be your future. Unfortunately, a lot of us did not have this.
Very true.
You are now having that at a platform, but it a lot of pressure on the kids as well, because now the onus is on you to take that opportunity to do it. It's an onus on the schools. Are they creating so many opportunities? Are the teachers doing it? I think it's fun times for the children. You're going to learn with freedom. You're going to learn with a lot of enjoyment.
Wonderfully explained, Fazana ma'am. All the points noted down. And Miss Fatima, thank you for your in-depth guidance. We are really lucky to have you as our mentor, which will guide Sarvankash Vidya Mandir to be a pioneer in the field of education. Well, moving ahead, there's a common question relating to the model answers. Often in board exams, we find that the teachers are given model answer keys. So going back, the teachers in schools, they teach and they assess in the same way. So in this process, somewhere we hinder the child's freedom to express in his or her own language. How can we train and motivate teachers to give justice to those learners who can express independently, especially when in boards, the corrections are done on a massive scale? Ms. Monica, your views on this?
Ziba, I think now the entire focus, which is the central thought behind this policy, is to do away with the prevailing rote learning methods. And conceptual learning now as the core focus, the policymakers are soon coming up with a detailed implementation plan. Maybe when mass corrections are done somewhere, the intention was that if children have written all relevant points, they should not lose marks. The
Right.
checkers were given it as a tool, but they were free to use their own discretion, which
Okay.
may have lagged actually in its interpretation and implementation. So now the pattern will go through a big shift, which will focus on the quality of questions, with more focus on open-ended questions, which will have multiple correct options. And in this way, we will have to discard the one right answer approach, basically. Teachers will have to be oriented and inducted to adapt to this. So again, coming back to when you ask the question of recruitment and teacher training to Fatima ma'am, yes, I think I'll also second with what ma'am said about that. The teacher training will be imperative for the implementation, and teacher quality and competency both will have to be looked upon very seriously if we want to focus on that kind of execution and that quality of execution.
Yeah, Monica ma'am, also it's going to be important about the quality of teacher training. You know,
Right.
we can't be mandated because someone tells us 60 hours, so do it, because we have to fulfill that. The I keep saying it, the good schools from the extraordinary schools are going to be schools that will focus on the quality of teacher training. What does every teacher need? I think we have to accept as a society that we need an upgrade every year. Farzana ma'am and I were in discussion yesterday, and we said we will have to upgrade every 2 years. The rate at which it is evolving is going to be critical. So I think that's also a huge factor in consideration. Just don't do it for the sake of it. I think for too long we've done it
Right.
because that was mandated. And for the future of our generation, I mean, our world, in all the Maitris of the world, we need to make sure that they then get the best of us. If
Yes.
we have it's input output in my mind.
I think, ma'am, definitely what you're saying is very correct. First of all, identifying the needs, identifying the gaps, also as per different locations, because when now we also talk of, it will be language, mother tongue will also be given the, so teacher, like location wise, we'll have to select, we'll have to identify needs and then accordingly plan that.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Fatima. Thank you, Ms. Monica, for that. Well, moving ahead to assessments, as it is very important part of any school, there's a lot of discussion on NEP bringing reformation in assessments. So what exactly has been changed in the assessment in the NEP, and that has been mentioned in the NEP? Ms. Monica, we would like to go with you.
Okay, yes, yes, Vibha, why not? I think you have brought our attention towards a very crucial aspect of education. So far, our focus of teaching learning was passing tests and examinations and getting good marks. It can be done by both the ways, either by understanding and then writing, or mugging up the answers as marked in the textbook and buffing the same on paper, and you're through. But the result of this has been that today's youth has degrees, no doubt, but is still unemployable because of lack of language skills and other basic yet important skills. Hence, the policy is proposing setting up of a national assessment center, PARAK. So, PARAK is performance assessment, review, and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. So it will be a standard setting body under the Ministry of Education that will fulfill the basic objectives of setting norms, standards, and guidelines for student assessment and evaluation. So now monitoring achievement of learning outcomes will be more important to meet the skills which will be required for the 21st century skilled learners. So grade 5 and 8 will not be boards, but grades 3, 5, and 8 will be considered as important checkpoints or milestones to do assessment for learning instead of assessment of learning. And they will be internal school-based assessment. I think there is a lot of confusion regarding 3, 5, and 8. 5 and 8 has been long back, taken as board exams. So people are confused, but no. 3, 5, and 8 will be school-based internal assessments, and PARAK, it's actually kind of an academic audit of the school, which the schools will be themselves doing.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. I can see a lot of doubts on Miss Shivani's face, and she's a parent.
I wanted to add something.
Sure, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Basically, I want to just add to what Monica just said, is that this NEP is trying to bring up holistic development. I just want to share one short example for Shivani and other parents who are on listening to us, and that's what the international education used to do, and that is what now is going to come into our system. I had one student who was applying for a job, and he said, after graduation, and he had all the certificates. So he said that, there were 3 people in the last list to be, selected, 1 out of the 3. And he was quite cool guy, that he was always the cool dude in school. So he went in front of the interview panel. They asked him some very technical questions. Out of the blue, one person told him that, what do you think is the color of the wall behind you? Now listen, this is a very important thing, because we have always, and my generation, the first question you asked me was always a right and a wrong answer. There was nothing like probability ever taught to me. So if it was my type of a student, he would turn around to see the color of the wall because he wanted to give a right answer. This boy was so confident. He said, well, in all probability, 3 sides are off-white, so I assume the 4th will be. He got the job. So this is the skills that I'm telling you, Maitri. NEP is going to develop these skills in you guys, because this platform is going to be so different. There won't be these model questions or 21 most likely. All that is going to go out of the window. You will have to apply, because there is no right and wrong answer. It's how you understand the concept and you say. Thank you. Sorry, Subhatu.
No, I'm just going to add in that, what it will enable children to do is go deeper into the subject.
Right.
As opposed to doing 20 things, they're going to go more immersive, understand it, understand its relevance, be able to apply it. I think we're going to create more thinkers out of it, as opposed to be jack of all trades. But if this is not working for me, I have the ability to also specialize, which is important, because we need to recognize that all our children are different. So taking a cue from what Farzana ma'am said, it's also important that the NEP is futuristic in that way, to talk about these things, to say these are important for a change. It's being spelled out. We spoke about it in progressive schools. We spoke about it in international schools. It's nice to see our entire country might be following it now. Who does it is the question. So
Right.
that's a debate for another one. Zeba, you might have to do another webinar.
Yeah. So to quickly summarize, you people are focusing on the problem solving skills as well as the concept of the less is more, something like that. Well, coming to you, Ms. Shivani, please go ahead.
Yes. My question is to Ms. Monica. There is lot of ambiguity on conduct of board exams. I need a clarity for my child as my child's SWAM is in 8th grade now. What type of flexibility the future boards hold for keeping in mind his college admissions and education at the university level?
Wonderful. Wonderful question. I think this will clarify all the doubts of the parents. Yes, Ms.
This
Monica,
is a
please.
big, I'll say the big question,
Yeah.
Dr. Shivani, which
Right.
bothers
And
all.
always a principal has to answer it, Monica.
Yes.
My pleasure, ma'am. So this is one question which bothers all the students, parents, and the schools as well. From last 2 decades, it seems to be the only objective of life of a student. Somewhere there's this far-fetched truth behind these certificate examinations. They have become the nucleus of entire education system. And so instead of what we are doing, instead of preparing our learners for life, we are preparing them for boards. The fact has been very well recognized by the policymakers. And to demystify this, they have proposed excellent suggestions and possibilities to add greater flexibility, student choice, and best of 2 attempts. So to reduce the pressure and to do away with the coaching culture, some possibilities will be they'll have a system of annual or a semester or a model board exams, with limited syllabus. And that also will be taken immediately after the corresponding course is taken in school. So like term one, course completion has happened, they'll have term one, semester one, and then they'll have term two and then semester two. So this is very, very important to understand. And apart from that, at secondary stage, all subjects corresponding assessments, beginning with maths, will be offered at 2 levels, basic and advanced. And in certain subjects, it may have 2 parts. One part of an, what do we say, objective type of multiple choice questions, and the other will have a descriptive type. And picking from here what you said about the gap between the college and the school exams, entrance level also. So all the different entrance tests are going to get eliminated, and we are only going to have one common entrance test. And these exams shall test the conceptual understanding and the ability to apply knowledge, and will also eliminate, I think we call, there is this big, I don't want to use the word, but the coaching mafia, and highlighting the board results and pressurizing the child. I have seen my daughter's friend had, recently gone through that, and she used to study 13 hours in the coaching, no Sundays, nothing, to a level where she has fainted at times in, without food and proper diet and these kind of things. So I think we'll be able to overcome this kind of things. We'll be able to see, and one more very good things have happened is, student will be able to choose the subjects for taking the test, and each university will be able to see each student's individual subject portfolio and admit students into their programs based on their individual interest and talents. So this is a revolutionary step. Also academic credits, which will help students in multiple manner and at the multiple steps. So there, I think a lot of parents and students and schools will be at ease. Yes, ma'am.
So Monica ma'am, I just wanted to add on to that. So basically what the National Education Policy has finally done is recognize that we need to succeed. Every child needs to succeed. That's the most progressive part of the National Education Policy, because I might take a lower level math, but I might be on a higher order or higher level English. But I am not being judged for math in the same way as English. I think that for parents is very important to understand, because for the longest time, Farzana ma'am, we've
Yes.
pushed towards standardized. I'm going to say this, Farzana ma'am, I said this yesterday on a webinar. I have this image of this child. It's a cartoon strip. This child asking the teacher, so you want me to specialize in all 9 subjects, but I get taught by 9 teachers. How come you don't teach me all the 9 subjects? So there's a specialization there, but we're expecting children to also specialize. Finally, we want every child to succeed. I think the standardized approach is going to be replaced by a personalized approach. That means every child will count. Parents take a deep sigh of relief.
Very true.
We're not having to compete anymore. I'm a mother. Farzana's a grandmom. She'll say that as well.
I just wanted to add to this that now, just like you have overseas, the foreign universities, it's not necessary how we had that if I want to be a particular career, I need to have these choices. Now there will be a plethora of subjects. So I know the good institutes even in India today, like the IIT, compulsory psychology is a subject because the engineers also have to understand psychology. So in that sense, it is going to be a more broader based curriculum and it will be more liberal arts. There is one university in Delhi which has already started this. It's called the Ashoka University. And it's so liberal and it's one of the first ones in this. And as someone said,
Flame as well in Pune.
Flame
It's a
in Pune.
big example.
Yes, and Flame in Pune. And
So
as
we're
someone,
progressing as far as higher education is
Yes.
concerned. So
important is that what yesterday someone said that if, as per what NEP is saying, we will need to establish more universities which are in this form, not all going to those typical 3 or 4 universities, there have to be different combinations. So Shivani, you're very fortunate. By the time your child will reach college level, there will be so many options,
My eldest son is studying in Pune in MIT WPU, and there they have got everything. Like they are giving credit points, and they are taught yoga. He is now in 4th year engineering.
Super.
And and all these subjects are there. Even they have got those ancient subjects and peace also. Peace is one of the subject for them.
Wow.
So for
Oh, lovely.
engineers, as you said, they all need this also. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
and language skills as well. Communication. We forget in a country where we're only marks oriented. The big part of it is communication. I won't even get into the national debates right now, which leads to a lot of disrespect. But I think one of the core skills that our children need to learn, which is what the NEP is talking about, is life skills.
Right.
The ability to respectfully communicate, articulate. You may have a disagreement, but how do you resolve it? That's going to be far more important for the volatile world ahead. And Farzana ma'am, Monica ma'am, I think you'll recognize that is the beauty of the NEP. It's talking about it. It's put it down. Now we have to implement it. But like Farzana ma'am said, why do we wait for governments to tell us? Progressive schools are doing it. Again, that's the difference between what a school wants to do and what a school will do because of directives. So
when you do it as a compulsion, you're not doing it 100%. But when you will do it, it's a super thing which they're putting forth, I think you all will go that extra mile for it. So, Maitri, you're in the right place at the right time.
I think, ma'am, I'll just like to share, there is one very close to my heart fable, which is, it's, if you would have heard about the animal school, where animals decide that humans have progressed so much and we haven't, let's open a school. And then they say the curriculum has swimming, it has flying, it has, all those things. And they want to judge the fish by climbing a tree. They want to judge a rabbit by, swimming. So I think this is what was somewhere we were making that mistake in the past. And it's high time that we do all such corrections and look forward towards a very progressive school.
And application-based learning, cricket, because IPL, guys, we'll have to end this quickly because I know everyone wants to watch the opening game. MI is playing. So the point is math relevance with cricket, math relevance with language. So this is important, and I think Farzana ma'am was, and I think Nima ma'am also said that it is about application of concepts. It's no longer learning probability, which confuses the hell out of you when you actually have to use it. But it's learning to use it because it makes sense. If I'm watching IPL, I need to know the run rate. I'll have to calculate it. How my mind works then? Why doesn't my mind work when I have to decode Tom and Jerry's word problem? I think the questions will change. Good things ahead, parents. Good things ahead, children. A lot of pressure on us as teachers, but I think we're up for it.
Thank you, ma'am. Well said. So all the parents watching us here, there's a sense of relief. Yes, there is going to be a structural change in the board exams, but that will take away the pressure, the stress, and the anxiety. And the focus will be more on the learning outcome rather than the rote learning. Okay, moving ahead, we move to you, Maitreyi. Yeah. Yes, Maitreyi.
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead with your question.
Often as students, I'm expected to be like someone else, either as a cousin, sibling, friends, and relatives. And I dislike to be under pressure in competing with my friend or getting under pressure of parental and school expectations. How does the policy help me to be me and sustain my identity? How do I convince my parents to pursue the career of my choice?
Well, I think being into role of parent and grandparent, Miss Farzana is the best one to answer this question to Miss Maitreyi.
Sure. Maitreyi, you have hit the nail on the head, this quotation of Henry Ford is coming to my mind, and he has said, failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So why should anyone compare? It's like labeling someone, You should be, and I am telling you, you should be, Maitreyi, the first-rate version of yourself, not a second-rate version of yourself. Why should you compare yourself to others, I also would love to share what I'm quite a follower of Bill Gates, because what he's done, and today after earning what he's doing in the philanthropic field, he has always said this one thing, don't compare yourself with anyone in this world, because if you do so, you're insulting your own self. Why should I insult myself? I'm good. You need to have that confidence. If you have that confidence, you're going to do very, very well, So parents who are now listening in, please don't push, as I said earlier also, don't push your dreams onto your child. Your child has her own dreams. Let them pursue those dreams, because those dreams are hers and not yours. And she will do it more. My advice again to you parents is, don't compare your life to others, that, वो मैं चाचा का बेटे को देखो कितना अच्छा पढ़ा, IIT में गया, IIM किया, ये किया, वो किया. Is there any comparison between the sun and the moon? Tell me. They both shine when it is their time. So when it is the time of your child is going to shine. So why the hell do we want to compare? I hate it, I'm so passionate about this, and I'm so happy that this question has come to me, because I really feel, we are often very, very guilty about this, of unfairly comparing our children to others, वो कितना अच्छा पढ़ता है, मैं इतना ट्यूशन पे डालती हूँ तो भी तू कुछ नहीं करता है. The child gets very demoralized, and every time he's writing his paper, he's in so much stress, कि घर पे जाऊंगा और मेरी माँ मेरे ऊपर चिल्लम चिल्ली करेगा. One other advice to parents: after your child finishes an assessment, an exam, and comes home, and this is what I've always done with my child, I never take out the question paper from the bag. अच्छा बोलो, question 1, हाँ, ये तो मैंने सिखाया था, तूने किया कि नहीं? Question 2, question 3, question 4. Forget it. Your child will get very nervous. Forget it. He said, जितना अपन ने किया था, तूने जो भी लिखा, I'm happy. Let's take out the books and let's revise for tomorrow. So your child has got that positivity. Don't push that thing of, वो stress में कि वो पहला पेपर अच्छा नहीं गया तो बेचारे का दूसरा पेपर भी अच्छा नहीं जाए. So parents, this is an advice for you all, and it's always, the grass always seems greener on the other side, when you're looking with envious eyes at the things that your child is lacking, but the truth is, parents, your child is unique, and that is important for you. अपने बच्चे को उसका जो भी potential है, I'm telling you, do musicians don't make money? Do singers don't make money? Don't dancers make? क्या सिर्फ डॉक्टर और इंजीनियर दो ही प्रोफेशन है लाइफ में? And many a times I say, I'm an educator. I'm not a doctor or an engineer, but I think I do fairly well in my career. So why is this thing that मेरा बच्चा अगर डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर ही बनेगा तो वो अच्छा पैसा कमाएगा? Don't compare. And NEP, I am so thankful to the founding fathers of this NEP 2020. They are also suggesting this, that develop each child to his own potential. And the only person you should try to be better than is the one who you were yesterday. Yesterday I did 10 things right. Tomorrow I'm going to do 11 things right. And that you put your challenge to yourself. That is why I hate this ranking, first, second, third. You should rank for yourself. I got a 28. Next time I am going to aim at a 35. Try to improve. The competition is within. It is not with your friends. And that's exactly what COVID did to schools, especially in Mumbai. I don't know much about Ratnagiri, so I can't, there used to be competition. Mera admission udhar chala jayega. But COVID में क्या हुआ? सब एक दूसरे से बात करते, कैसे कर रहे हैं, क्या आइडिया है, ये है. So this collaboration, which is a very important 21st century skill, our educators are using because of COVID. So COVID की हर बात बुरी नहीं है, कुछ बात अच्छी भी है.
Well said, ma'am. Actually, we all panelists are parents. So I'll go to Miss Fatima. Miss Fatima, your views on this.
Before you ask me the question, I just wanted to add, often, okay, so I've got a 14-year-old. I'm under pressure when he's taking these exams. So somewhere, I think it's a reflection of what I am also doing. But it's not. I think parents need to recognize that children are independent human beings. They're responsible human beings. We need to empower them to become that. It's not you looking bad in someone else's eyes. I think that the NEP is also trying to say that. With the opportunity for every child to grow, they will grow at their pace. And who's to say that if I didn't master that at grade 8, I can't do that at grade 10? You've basically given up. It's going to be a parent-school partnership. The communication bit has been an interpretation of the NEP. Farzana ma'am, you'll agree. But what is going to happen is that schools and parents are going to have to talk a lot more. And again, extraordinary schools are the schools that are going to orient children and parents at the same time. Big part of what I call the triangle.
True.
Miss Monica, your views on this?
Yes, I'll definitely like to speak here, no doubt. Maitri, I think I'll just say you one thing. Being yourself is the most important thing in life, than anything else in the world. So I'll just quote one Three Idiots example. It's different from ma'am what you had quoted yesterday, Farzana ma'am. When we hear this R. Madhavan, asking his father that even if you allow me to be a wildlife photographer, मेरा घर थोड़ा छोटा होगा, मेरी गाड़ी थोड़ी छोटी होगी, but I'll be happy.
Very important.
So I think, and I have seen it as a parent when my daughter was in 10th and she wanted to take up, she was very good in, she is actually very good in her studies. Board also she has had exemplary result, but she did not wanted to take up science and maths and she wanted to take up humanities. So I stood by her and I respected her decision. I never forced her to take science. And now she's happily pursuing her college studies in that field, So as a mother, I've never forced subjects and career choice on my children. And I respect their decision. So even if we think differently as parents and children, it's important to put forth their point of view without being rebellious and sit, talk, use logics, use reasons, and sort out things. That's what I would like to say you.
Well
Very
said.
good.
Well said. I can see a lot of passion being a mother of a recently passed out 12th grader, as you have experienced this situation.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Going to Miss Shivani. Miss Shivani, your views on this about parents putting pressure on kids?
Uh, See, in Panwalkar family, we are the third generation of doctors. And my son, he said, no, I don't want to be in your profession. Like, I am going to leave
Super.
biology and I'm going to, yeah. So we respected his decision. And my younger son, of course, Swam is going to do something in sports that he has already told us. So no more doctors. And we are respecting.
And
So,
here,
so
Farzana ma'am,
Monica, you have a parent in your, you should do a workshop and she could be talking about this. Shivani could be talking about this. You know.
thank you for that. Because she said that, I'm learning better as a, like, because her favorite subjects are psychology, history, and English. So she did a beautiful project on this, what we call this mythological character, Pandav and this thing. So, I mean, beautifully done. And you know what? When Shivani ma'am is saying, I can see in her house as a principal, we recently organized an photography event. So we invited her husband Sachin Panvalkar sir for a session with our students, and he's a bird photographer. He's a passionate sports person, and he's a doctor. So I think everything is possible, and we need to give that kind of freedom to our children to select.
On a lighter note, I'm going to add in because we're getting very serious. So, Dr. Shivani, I think from a sportsman's house, I think he might have looked at the medical career as an option. He moved from sports to medicine while yours moves from medicine to sports. On a lighter note.
Very true, very true.
Okay, coming to you, Miss Neema, being a proud parent of the head boy of Sarvankash Vidya Mandir, what message you have for the viewers?
Okay. Well, no doubt parental love enhances the well-being and development of children. But as far as career is concerned, I believe every child has right to choose their own career and have the right to live their dreams. A child can only know his interest and abilities better than anyone else. I know his subjects. So he knows his subject and areas of interest. He is the one who is perfectly knowing it. Nowhere the parent is able to find it out. As such, if a child follows a career chosen by a parent and which his or her interest, there is no interest in it, he will have to face a lot of challenges and pressure, I guess. To avoid such situations, I think they need to choose that. They should be given that liberty to choose their career, their own career.
Thank you, Ms. Seema. Thank you, Ms. Seema. So I can proudly say that Maitreyi and all the students of SVM are in safe hands. Okay, moving ahead, we have a question from a teacher of other school. She says that teachers from early morning to late night are striving hard to balance their professional and personal life. The long working hours, longish screen time often leads to so-called professional health hazards such as damaged vocal cord, spondylitis, loss of hearing, and invisible hazards like social and emotional stress, which includes expectations from school, from family, and from parents. So how does NEP address these issues of teachers? Being a wonderful and acting principal, Ms. Monica, I want you to address this question. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Unmute.
Ziva, when you are saying this, no, I just was back in memories a few days back when we celebrated the Teachers' Day. A lot of parents had sent their best wishes through mail. And one of the parent, I think I can see her here also, Mrs. Harsha Jain, Divya Jain's mother. She said that teachers come under essential duties. And so they must also be applauded as COVID warriors. So I think we must all first give a big round of applause to all the teachers. And I think all of them deserve a big bow, salute, and gratitude. We are because they are. And as a principal, I have witnessed all the hard work, no summer break. Their screen time is more than double of what is of the students, but still they have all stood tall in these testing times. I feel responsible for their well-being, and so we keep doing small things to keep them energized and motivated here at SPM. That's what I can say, Farzana ma'am. We conducted some fun competitions for them, like design your own cap. Then we had this Friday coffee mates, where we used to meet in the evening on virtual platform and we used to sing Antakshari, have our coffee and snacks together, and we organize games on special occasions, of course, keeping the social distancing norms. And yoga and exercise sessions are also happening on a regular basis. We have a flexible work from home policy, where if they're not feeling well, or if on one odd day they don't feel like coming to school, they can definitely work from home. And our special counselor, she took a special session on one of the Saturdays, where it was on the mental well-being and health of the teachers. So, and Fatima ma'am has been continuously connected on various teacher training platforms, and she has always given me a lot of out-of-box ideas, to take, to do it with the teachers as well. So I think Fatima ma'am can also add on from here.
Definitely.
I think you summed it up beautifully, but I'm just going to say that I think where the teacher motivation comes from is the children. And when they see evidence of all the kids online with their cameras on, perfectly ready for the session, it just motivates. And that's been our experience. It's also their passion that comes from because of the parents. When you receive that word of encouragement, a small message on the group chat, all our WhatsApp chats, to acknowledge that the teacher went out of her way to break away from the session and connect with the child because the child was not feeling well. So I think that social, emotional bonding is going to be crucial. Quite frankly, if any parent wants to know when we're going to open schools, we don't have the answer. So before you ask it, I'm just going to say, the hope is soon enough. The hope is areas that are green zones can start. Our teachers are in school, of course, but it is exhausting. And I think we need to give our teachers the opportunity to also take a break, for our teachers to also have the opportunity to sometimes be motivated by you. So keep that going. It's not only September 5th. You know what? I'm actually going to celebrate Teachers' Day on September 5th. So all the teachers in Ratnagiri, all the parents in Ratnagiri, I think create a difference. Celebrate every day. Celebrate every little effort to the big effort. Yeah, we have a lot of fun at SVM. Humor works. We make sure our teachers laugh a lot. I don't think we laugh enough as children. They seem to smile and laugh so much more. I don't know what happens when we become adults. So we all need to recognize that there are good things around the corner. We have to be hopeful. I think the national education policy is one such thing. But teachers keep going. Not easy, but yeah, we salute you for all the hard work.
Ms. Farzana, your views on this?
I would really suggest that parents play a key role in this, because they have to, because many are parents are also juggling today. They are managing their homes, their husbands, their families, and also managing the online thing, especially for younger kids, and then many a time, see, in an online version, technology may not give me all the support. You have to be a little more considerate about the teacher, Do not judge the teacher every single day. Because I am a teacher, I may be speaking fluent English, but that one day, I don't know what happened, and I may have a slip of a tongue, and the parent immediately writes an email to the principal. Your quality of teachers is not nice. So remember, parents, they are also struggling just as you are struggling in COVID times. They are doing their best. Imagine we have a lockdown and nobody is trained on the online platform. And suddenly a 360-degree change, we are all teaching online. Now we have all become experts. So that is what the teacher has done. So appreciate it. So parents' appreciation will motivate them.
Thank you, Ms. Farzana.
Zeba, likewise for the teachers to appreciate the parental input as well. The kind of juggling that happens behind the scenes. So I think a lot more communication. The national education policy did not explicitly say it, but if you have to be progressive, it can't work with everyone in a silo.
Right.
So it's everyone coming together. And on that note, I have to give credit to Maitri to be so patient to listen to adults for an hour and a half. Zeba, I think you need to.
So appreciation and communication is the key to everything.
Very good.
Yeah. So, ma'am, the last question for the day, and also interesting, we hear a lot about global citizenship. So, how does NEP helps to justify this aspect? I mean, how it will help our students to be global citizens and being into education field for decades and carrying global experience? Ms. Fatima, who would answer this question better than you? So, requesting to share your words of wisdom.
So the beauty about the national education policy is that it is looking to ensure the future of our country is in safe hands, is able to take their place in a global world. When we talk about global world, it doesn't mean everything is international and we need to build it around that. We have something inherently innate, which was us. We created a lot in this country. From our Gurukul system, from mathematical progress. Unfortunately, did we do enough for research and development? So I think the national education policy again is telling us, don't go so away with the vision of just being part of a global world, but it is global. Teaching will be about what is happening in India, but compare it to another country. Compare it to Southeast Asia, compare it to America, because it is the truth. We are connected to it. What happens in China happens in India, happens in America. We saw that with the pandemic. I can't give you a bigger example. So we no longer can be Ratnagiri, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata. We need to unite. And with this united force, we also need to compare and contrast with the world. Which is why parents, regional languages, which is why parents, we will teach in English, but we will respect mother tongue. We will respect local languages. That may not be my mother tongue, but if I am born in that state, I will embrace it because being bilingual is an advantage for the future. Just don't make it graded. Marathi may be ye mark, Hindi may be ye mark, Sanskrit may be ye mark, French may be, German may be. I told you about that child. How much can the child do? Maybe I can take on something. So make it love for learning. Don't make it about grades. And that is what the national education policy is guiding us. Again, how we implement it is going to be crucial. The beauty is we're saying we're one world and we unite with those forces and we can take best practices. It's not only about being apart. It's also embracing a lot from different countries that have done well things. We don't always have to create. We can also embrace. So a lot of soft messages in the national education policy, very important ones. I love the fact that it's global. I'm going to be a proud Indian, but I'm also a proud citizen of the world. And I need to understand both. And that's what we tell our children.
Yeah, well said, ma'am. I completely agree with you. It keeps on exciting me as you talk about it.
Yes, Zeba, I think there are a lot of questions in the chat box also. If any one or two can be picked up quickly from there, so that we don't disappoint our audience. And then,
Zeba, ma'am, we can go with only one question, which will cover everything, I guess.
Okay.
There is a question from Fairoza Bangi, Zeba.
Okay.
Marathi, right?
Yeah. It's ही शिक्षण प्रणाली कधीपासून अंमलात येईल? So when will NEP be implemented as such? आणि या प्रणाली अंतर्गत संपूर्ण देशात एकच पद्धतीचे शिक्षण असेल की राज्यांतर्गत वेगवेगळे? Will it be state-wise different as such, like CBSE and state? There is a difference between CBSE and state. or would it be overall a same syllabus? That is what is the question.
Yes,
Yes,
Fatima.
yes, Ms. Ma'am.
So it's going to be very difficult for a country as demographically located and with our own capabilities state-wise to unify with one board. That will never happen. The beauty of progressive countries, Nima, if you could translate this in Marathi after I finish, is going to be that if we have to remain progressive and competitive, it's always healthy to have different thought processes. Then you know what? I go with my means and what I am capable of, what I think I have in terms of resources. I don't think we can unify the entire country with one single policy. It will be regressive. This is what monopolistic era is talking about. Economists will tell you this cannot hold us in good faith in the future. We will have to go with diversity. That's the beauty of the country. Don't take that away. We will have to go with the fact that yes, there are going to be national boards. Yes, there are going to be international boards. They will come to some sort of understanding in some sort of standards. So I'm not going to have government aided schools too far away because progressive private schools can do this. We're trying to bring every child in this country to some platform. But it's also going to be, yes, it is going to be state driven. There's a center guiding, but it's interpretation of what each state does. And your $1,000,000 question, and if I can get it right, Farzana ma'am, you're going to jump in. Implementation, we're expecting Maharashtra to have something out in terms of protocols for schools within the next 12 months, but not as implementable. It's going to be guidance. Then we're going to get into discussions. We have webinars where we're talking to people because we don't want them to standardize policies and realize, "Arey yaar, this can't happen now." So we have to be careful, but it's not going to impact you for the next 2 years, at least, is my estimation. Farzana ma'am?
Basically they are going to give us guidelines is what I feel. और ये guidelines ऐसी होगी कि जो compulsory नहीं होगी. They will say practice and then we will take a review. And I think over a period of 3 years or so, they will come back to something which is doable. Also understand it's very easy for the private schools and the unaided schools to get onto it much easier. For the aided schools and schools like the Balwadis and the ones which are in the rural areas, the government will have to support these schools. There will be a lot more teacher training. So there is a budget implication also in this. So बहुत implications है एक implement ये करने के लिए. And hopefully they will also need time of another 2 years or so before we see the first phase.
And NCRT has also already committed that 2021 is when the first draft will come. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. I think webinars like this, Monica ma'am, if can be conducted for Ratnagiri parents, teachers, and students to keep them appraised of the situation will help. Right now, sleep safe. Nothing's changing. We're status quo. But yes, those who want to do good work are already doing it, and that's it.
Yes.
Yes, and as Fatima ma'am rightly said, education is on the concurrent list. So there is an NCERT who's working on it, and there will also be a SCERT working on it. And definitely, it's a very hopeful document because it has actually come out of 34-35 years. If we see, this is something unique in India, but otherwise, if you see outside, Finland changes its syllabus after every 7 years.
Yes.
So that is also there, and the beauty is, yes, there's a lot of hope in this document, and if it is implemented with everybody, see, it will always be a teamwork. So if we keep it little away from politics, and if it is purely education center, and we all don't see our personal interests in it, and then we implement it with a wholehearted purity of intention to improve the education system, it's definitely going to give results.
Yeah. Well said, ma'am. So quickly to summarize before we wind up, and what keeps me optimistic is this NEP is a very welcoming step by the government of India for a refreshing change, and it has come at a very opportune time. It has designed it is designed in a very beautiful way and a thoughtful way, which will definitely put India ahead in the game when it comes to education. So I think we should all have hope and stand up optimistic when the government is genuinely trying to look for a change. My only advice to parents watching us here, in case of any doubts, your school is your first point of contact. So don't hesitate and approach them to understand what the policy holds for your child. And the second one, please be patient. The policy has just come in. It is going to take some time to shape up. We, as parents, need to stand by our students and school and watch them grow. And I'm sure this will emerge us as winners and be more. It was indeed a wonderful conversation when we have expert speakers like you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Farzana, Ms. Fatima, Ms. Neema, Ms. Monica, Mrs. Shivani Panwalkar, and Maitri. And thank you all the viewers.
And also, when we are saying that, I would like to say to the entire public of Ratnagiri that yes, we have taken this onus on ourselves, that we believe in educating our parents also and our students also. So we'll be coming up with a series of webinars for all of you. Stay tuned. Maybe every month there will be something surprising waiting for you. Definitely.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Farzana ma'am. Thank you, Fatima ma'am, and everyone, Shivani ma'am, Neema, Zeba, for moderating it so well.
Monica ma'am, thank you so much, Deepak sir and Meena ma'am. You've been listening to us for 1.5 hours. Your absolute passion that drives us to do this. Thank you so much. It means a lot to have you in it.
Yes, and we are grateful to have such wonderful management, really.
Because when teachers start talking, no, they can never stop.
Yes.
Farzana, it was supposed to be 1 hour. We always cross that when you and I are in conversation.
Very true. You always have to add up 2 bits. So have fun, enjoy the evening, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And we won't get into the IPL discussion of who's rooting who.
I'm just logging in on the IPL next, ma'am. Don't worry.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay well, stay safe, everyone.